Hey, and welcome to Troll Time. I'm your host, Ivan D. Curtis, aka the Troll King. And this is a show where we talk sports, movies, or anything thought provoking. Today we'll be recapping Saturday's games, Notre Dame, TCU, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, and UConn, Kansas State, and USC. And then, of course, we'll be breaking down today's games, Duke and South Carolina, and UCLA and LSU. Now, typically, and then also we'll be previewing Monday's games as well. Typically, the show is done with me and myself, Andrea Richmond, aka Bordy McBoards, Antonio Williams, aka A Willie. But today, I got the luxury of having one of the best content creators in the game. She's an award-winning artist. Just wears many hats and great at everything she does. Now, for some people, you know how they fake. They say, "What up, cuz?" Like, and all this and all that, but they don't really be cousins. Well, in this case, it's not the case. This is my blood cousin. Our dads are brothers, so no fake family here. Cassie Chantel, how you doing today?
Because I'm doing great. It's a lot of great basketball. I'm happy to be here to watch it.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, now this is something that I've been waiting on. Like, I mean, you've been doing your thing. I've been doing my thing. It's been great to support you and everything you've been doing. Even way back when I knew you was into music, you can find her anywhere where you find music. I just want you to give a brief, quick intro to who you are to the people, my crowd that may not know who you are.
Yeah, I appreciate that, cuz I appreciate that love. I appreciate you having me on the platform. I'm an artist, born and raised Athens, Georgia. I do a lot of different things in the art space. I would consider myself a multimedia artist. You can find my music on Apple Music, Spotify under Cassie Chantel. Make rap, hip hop, also do a little jazz vibe, a little R&B. I just like I just like to express myself, and I've always played basketball, always done music, and I'm getting in this basketball space. It feels good to be here, to be talking about the game. I'm a coach. I coach high school. I'm an assistant coach at the high school level, and I'm a head coach at the middle school level. And I've just always been around the game, always loved the game, and yeah, I'm just out here expressing myself and, and sharing my thoughts with the world, like my hoops tribe.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, as I mentioned, I said we was going to recap Saturday's game. First up on the docket, TCU and Notre Dame. Anybody who's been following me know I'm a big fan of Haley Van Lith. So this definitely did a lot for me. They TCU took care of business, 71-62. Haley Van Lith, man, she stepped up huge with 26 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Was 10 for 21 from the field, 2 for 5 from three. Sedona Prince did what she had to do inside, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 6 blocks to go with 4 assists. And Madison Connor, this has kind of been their season-long big three. She finished with 13 points, shot 2 for 4 from the three, and then got great contributions from Donovan Hunter as well. So, I'm getting feedback on your end.
Me?
Yeah, I think we good. I think we good now. We good now. I'm not hearing anything. But no, this she Donovan Hunter has always stepped in defensively and everything like that. But it was a gutty game. Went back and forth. Notre Dame, of course, they big three, they big players couldn't get it going. Hannah Dago finished with 15 points on 19 shots. Citron only 9 points on 4 for 15 shooting. As I mentioned, Hannah Dago, she was 3 for 19. The free throw line kind of saved them a lot. They were 15 for 20, but they just really couldn't get into a flow offensively. And TCU made some key plays down the stretch and ended up taking the game away. But from your perspective, I want you to break down the game and how you saw it.
And 3 for 19 is crazy. When I'm listening to the stats back, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like you said, it was definitely back and forth the whole time. Personally, I think it's been the best game thus far of the tournament. I really love the passion from both ends. And I think that Notre Dame pull that out of TCU a little bit. Haley Van Lith had a great game, but it was like Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles playing the way that they did in that first half. They were really rolling. They were really, it's like they were in a flow and they celebrated a lot. And people, I know that, Haley Van Lith is Haley Van Lith and she's been working hard and regardless, she gonna ball out. But as a hooper, like, that you get a little more in your game when somebody is egging you on like that. And I feel like that's what happened. And it was one of those hold some of that down until we get deeper in the game. You know what I'm saying? But overall, I hate to blame Notre Dame's downfall like on one person, but I will say that Hannah Hidalgo did have a lot of responsibility down the stretch that she made some poor decisions and it costed the team a lot. Like, especially in that third quarter, which was the turning event. I feel like for the whole momentum was in the third quarter, like with the last 3 minutes and 27 seconds to go, and that block came in from HVL, and it was like after that block, I feel like Hannah got in her head a little bit, and she was forcing some things. And when it's your point guard that's having that type of like moment, it's difficult because that's the main ball handler, and they're not deep enough to make that switch. So overall, TCU just played. They wanted it more. And I feel like it came down to being disciplined at the end and wanting it more.
No, I agree. I think that was part of Notre Dame's downfall. They had hit that skid before the tournament where they had lost 3 out of their last 5 games, and most of their losses was mirror imaging. It was just bad shot selection, bad shooting, too many defensive breakdowns, and not really doing the intangible things that it takes to close out wins, especially in games like that. And like you said, the egging on. I remember, during the game, Hannah had made a play, and then she kind of, they all emotional players. I mean, especially the good ones, but that kind of fired Haley up on the other end. She made a play and gave a stare down, and I really thought that the game could have been a lot different earlier if Haley had knocked down a few more threes that she had put up early in the game, but then later in the game they end up going down, and that changed the complexion, especially the last 3 she hit with the shot clock going down and had to make a shot. But the one thing, just giving my roses to the Mark Campbell, the coach, the head coach for TCU, he did a great job of putting his team together. A lot of players, unfortunately, the popular players catching a bad rap for the grad years and different things like that. But that's because they don't know the whole landscape. There's a ton of 5th-year players that are using their eligibility wisely and putting themselves in good positions, whether it is to try to compete for a college championship or increase their chances of, making it to the WNBA or whatever the reason that may be beyond educational purposes. It's been beautiful to watch. So you see a lot of good players land in situations like this because you got, Madison Connor, they have 6 players on their team that are 5th-year players. This is a brand new team for TCU. And to do what they're doing right now, a lot of firsts in school's history. It's an awesome story. And I'm just anxious to see what they do in the next game, and it's kind of segueing to the next matchup. Other day was Tennessee and Texas. I actually my heart was with Tennessee, even though they're a little bipolar. I mean, because they have moments where they look really good, and then they have moments where they look really bad. And I thought this could be a tough matchup for Texas because Tennessee is very athletic. They have a lot of players that's capable of making shots, but they struggled. They only shot 5 for 26 from the 3. Z Spearman was one of the few players in double figures. She finished with 13, and then you had Ruby Whitehorn. She had 16 points, and then Samar Spencer, she had 12 points. But they really just couldn't get going, and a lot of people I seen earlier who hadn't watched Tennessee wasn't really familiar with the hockey subbing that Coach Caldwell does, which is that can go either way. As a few of my partners said, like you really got to get a team to buy in order to play like that. And I feel like sometimes you can't get into a flow. So a lot of times that would lead to the inconsistency in good, good play and good shooting because shooters have to get in rhythm. And I think that a lot of players, the more they play, the more they have a chance to get in rhythm. But Texas took care of business, 67 to 59. Madison Booker finished with 17 points, 6 rebounds. Taylor Jones, 12 points, 8 rebounds. And then they got solid play off the bench from Jordan Lee and Brianna Preston. Lee finished with 13 points and Preston with 12 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals. So they shot 46% as a team, almost 43% from the three, and over 80% from the free throw line. So I mean, you would have thought if you looked at the stats that the game would have been more. It would have been a blowout, but they got it done. Your thoughts about Texas and Tennessee? I can't hear you, Cass.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
For some reason, it keeps switching. The audio is switching back and forth between two devices. I closed it. I'm trying to get it to stop doing that, but it's doing that for some reason. So I think that's why you heard the feedback earlier. But Tennessee, I was with Tennessee. That's who I was rolling with personally. Because I don't want to see Texas get that deep, and that's personal. That's just because of the coach and his comments towards the Gamecocks, and I'm around with the Gamecocks. But Tennessee is a strong team. I like the substitutions and how they do the hockey subs. I think it shows that at this level they have a lot of different options. And I think once you get to the college level, it can be like that. But I also agree that it's hard to get in a flow, especially most shooters are rhythm shooters. Their players need more development. They're really athletic. I love how fast they can get down the court. Really, they jumping out the gym. They do extremely athletic things, but it's like it's still lacking some skill. It's still lacking some IQ and experience. So I would look, but really they're an older team. So they're like mostly like the starting five is made up of mostly seniors, and I think they maybe have one junior in the starting lineup. So I don't know how many of them are going to be able to make it at the next level, but it's like they're almost there. They just needed a little more development. But Texas is just skilled. Like they're skilled, and then they have a great coach that's able to really put the game plan together. And when Madison Booker is able to be Madison Booker, because she can be inconsistent at times, but when she has it, she has it. And Texas is a hard team to beat. So it's going to be really interesting to see Texas in the next round versus TCU.
Yeah, and while we on that, I mean, it's who you taking in Texas and TCU?
Well, I mean, that game can really go either way. Like it really can go either way. And I think that Texas is more talented than TCU. But Texas is also inconsistent. And then when you have players like Haley Van Lith, who's able to will her team to whatever, like people players buy into coaches, but they also buy into players and leaders on their team. And I think that TCU team has bought into Haley Van Lith, and like they riding for her. So if she can get to that level, like that zone that she was in against Notre Dame, there's no telling what could really happen. And Texas is a team that is definitely beatable. So it really can go either way. I would like to see HBL get that win. Just it would like be the icing on the cake of her comeback season if she's able to do that for her team, and she's already making history with TCU. But I mean, I just think it can go either way. So I think that's how my bracket is too. I think on one bracket, I got two brackets with ESPN. I think I got one that picked Texas to beat TCU, and then another one for TCU to win. So it can go either way. I'm gonna go TCU for the win.
Yeah, my heart, of course, is with TCU. I think Texas is solid, and we'll get to a point of what we talked about off camera. But I think Texas and UCLA probably are the two most complete teams outside of South Carolina that's left in the tournament. But my heart is with TCU. But my mind, if I had, if it was a life or death situation, I'd probably say Texas. But I do think they can make it interesting though, because we've seen over time, especially in the last few years, kind of started with Don with Camilla, the team that has a quality big. They've been hard to beat because and I think UCLA showed that today. Because when you got a big that you can go inside and have to garner that much attention, it puts pressure on your defense. And then UCLA has quick trigger shooters like that's ready, they're locked and loaded and ready to put it up. Now I don't put Texas in that same category when we talk about perimeter shooting and role players and things of that nature. But I do think TCU that they need to take care of the basketball and make shots. Like, I mean, if they can make shots, that would change everything. I think Sedona is going to be a factor. I don't know how much of a factor, but she can do enough to negate anything that they like to do inside. But they have to take care of the basketball and make shots if they want it to be a game. If not, I can see it getting out of hand kind of early. But I know they're going to fight, though. Like, I mean, that's the one thing about it. I think they're going to make it a gritty game, but if they don't make shots or take care of the basketball, it can be a long night.
A sleeper player on Texas's team that I really do like is Oldacre. Like she comes off the bench, but she makes such an impact every time. Like I think that she has the ability to be a game changer on Sedona Prince, because that brings up my question, because I'm really interested on your thoughts, because I see a lot of chatter. Is Sedona Prince actually that skilled, or is she just 6'7"? Like, do you think that? And also, follow up: do you think that her game would translate in the WNBA?
No, I think, yeah, I think she's just a big. Like I think she could be that type of impactful big, but she don't play low enough. She do everything standing up. Doesn't control anybody from the waist down. Limited on post moves and finishes. I think she's more. And the crazy thing about it, I think she's more of a stretch player than she is inside. But she's not mobile and athletic enough to really call her a stretch. Because I think she feels more comfortable on the perimeter than she does inside. But it doesn't pay dividends because in old school terms, you are what you guard. And she's not guarding anybody on the perimeter. I mean, she's in the paint. So I think at the collegiate level, she can get away with that. But I don't think at the next level, I don't see that happening. It's going to be real interesting, aside hoop aside. How GMs from the WNBA go about Sedona Prince, but like I said, at the collegiate level, I can see it being a factor as long as she is dominant. Like you can tell the difference. Like Lauren Betts today, like she wanted the ball, she wanted to make plays. I like seeing her play with emotion. Like and she's into the game. And that's gonna make it hard to stop. But I think if Sedona gets like that, I mean, we've seen the goofy side with the post game celebrations, dances, and all this and all that. But I think it's gonna start with her. I think in that game, I think she's gonna have to make a big imprint. Just to stay on track, because we got to get to that another game, the Oklahoma and UConn game.
Raised her stock.
Hey, but let me tell you, going into this game, I actually thought I'm like, man, Oklahoma might be built for the upset. Like, but I figured I said in order for them to upset UConn, they was gonna have to shoot lights out like they did in the previous game, and that didn't happen. They went 7 for 25 from three, only shot 35% from the field, and it was a close game until Paige Becker showed up in the third quarter and literally, I mean, it's the Paige that we all know. Like we've always known, but the thing about her, she's not a high volume player, and that's she's always been queen miss efficient, and so you don't see her chucking up shots to score 40, plus or 30 plus or anything. Like she does what she has to do to get the win, most importantly, but she does it efficiently, 50, probably, 50, 40, 90 splits, so it was beautiful to watch, man. Paige Becker's, and when you think about this stat, she scored 40 points, 16 for 27, 6 for 8 from the three, 2 for 3 from the free throw line. That's a lot of points, not only shooting three free throws. Now, when the other thing is that this is the most points scored by a UConn player in the NCAA tournament. Now, that's even more impressive considering the Hall of Famers that have came through UConn. And we talking DT, Maya Moore. When I think about the prolific scores on those specific UConn teams, Nikisha Sellers, that's more back in my earlier childhood, but that was it was like I said, it was a thing in beauty to watch, and they also had 6 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. Nobody, Ashlyn Shade, I love her coming off the bench. She had 12 points, 4 rebounds, shot 2 for 5 from 3. Sarah Strong, now we think about this and we'll say, oh, she didn't have one of her stronger games that we typically used to watching, but she had 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. She almost had a triple-double. And we saying, like, a lot of people, she was 4 for 13, 1 for 7. I thought she settled for the 3 way too much, shooting 1 for 7 from the 3. But aside from that, AZ Fudd didn't shoot particularly well, but finished with 10 points, 5 assists, and 3 steals. And then on the other end, it was a team effort for Oklahoma. Just ran out of gas way too early. UConn, exposed them. Reagan Bears finished with 10 points, 10 rebounds. A lot of this team is coming back. For Oklahoma. So we'll see what they look like with them signing the number 1 player in the country. Leah Chavez is coming in next year. It'll be interesting to see what they look like. But your thoughts, just in general, about this UConn defeat over Oklahoma?
This like a good example of discipline and coaching down the stretch really being the determining factor, because Oklahoma really stayed with UConn for most of the game. Like, it was a competitive game for most of the game until like later down the stretch, and then you got Paige, and then UConn doing what UConn does, and that's really what happened when you have like a generational talent like Paige, and she's really unique in her being like she doesn't take it. She's super efficient. Like that's so unique for a player that is that good. Because we see a lot. There's so many players that are that good, and they don't have the patience. They don't have, and that's really what it is. The patience. They don't have the patience to settle down in the offense and let it come to them. And I think Paige is really good at that and letting the game flow to her. She's not pressing any issue. So it was a great career game for Paige, and probably one of her last games of her college career. It's been a good time. Now I'm ready to see it in Dallas. That's what I'm ready for. I think that she probably. I mean, I know that she says that she blocks out a lot of the noise when it comes to what she's gonna do after she leaves UConn, but she got to be a little excited that Dallas just built this team around her, and we know that she's going in number 1, so she got to be in a good space mentally. So it was really good to see.
Nah, no doubt. And then the cap off Saturday night's games, you had Kansas State and USC. Now, of course, USC was without their best player and one of the best players, if not the best player in the country, and Juju Watkins. And a lot of people I know, just probably like you and I, wonder what was that going to look like. But USC took care of business, man. They went on to defeat Kansas State 67-61. And the biggest shocker of them all, if you didn't watch the game, is Kiki Arifin. She didn't even have a great game, and they still won. She only had 7 points, 8 rebounds. But it was the likes of Kennedy Smith, Avery Howe, Kaylee Heckle came off the bench and played really well. Even Talia Van Alphen, she didn't even TVO didn't even have a really. She only had 2 points. But then Marshall, she finished with 10 points, 9 rebounds. Hal had 18 points, 8 rebounds, 4 steals. Kennedy Smith, 19 points, 3 steals, 3 rebounds. Avery Hale also, she shot 4 for 8 from the 3 as well. And then you had Kaylee Heckle, she had 8 points. The All-Americans, freshman All-Americans is what got it done. And I brought up that point last night with somebody when we were talking about it on Facebook, is that USC has some of the best talent in the nation that they signed coming in. I think Kennedy Smith was number 6, and I made a note of it myself. Kennedy Smith was the number 6 player in the country last year. Avery Howe was the number 23rd ranked player in the country last year, and Heckle was number 28. And nobody talks about that. I remember when they did the McDonald All-American announcements last season, and how many McDonald All-Americans they had in the game. And I said, oh man, all the focus is going to be on Juju. Nobody's really paying attention who USC is signing. And they were ready for the moment. And we know, just throughout time, you play, you coach. Sometimes when the best player don't play, you think other players is not ready to step up and get they shine, and that's literally what happened. Before I pass it to you, I just want to finish Kansas State. Serena Sundell, she had a night. She had 22 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Did everything she could to try to will Kansas State to a win. Ayoka Lee, she finished with 12 points, 10 rebounds. But it was a good hard fought game. But and really, I thought going into halftime, Kansas State was about to pull away. Pull away from potentially going into it. They outscored USC 21-12 in the second quarter. So I thought it was about to be a runaway, and then the third quarter, boom. In the fourth quarter, they closed it out. But hats off to USC for getting it done without Juju. What was your thoughts going into the game, knowing that Juju Watkins was going to be out?
Dude, I knew that her teammates were going to step up just by their reaction when she went down against Mississippi State. And it's just, I know Kennedy Smith felt like I used to pray for times like this, because it's just like, as a freshman, getting that moment to shine, and then she's already like Juju's doppelganger. Like, we already like put her, like, because they look alike, and especially like at a glance, like it's crazy. So for me, it just further proves the point that these freshmen can come in and play. And I love that she got that opportunity. I love USC was able to pull off that win for Juju, because it just has to be hard to watch your team continue on, and you know what type of sacrifice a player like Juju gives to the game, and how much she means to her team, and how much basketball means to her. So I know mentally that's tough, and so it was a good win for them coming right off of that injury, and for Kennedy to get that time to like step up. But shout out to Kansas State. They were not on my radar at all. So for them to even get to that point is, hats off to them.
No doubt. Just fast forwarding ahead. to today's matchup, where I know everybody was anticipating Duke, and these games took place earlier today. Duke and South Carolina, and I mean it wasn't pretty, but this is sometimes what you know playoff slash March Madness basketball looks like. Like I mean, it's not always pretty, and I know in the coaching world, I used to say, "Hey man, I'll take ugly wins anytime before I deal with a pretty loss." And that's and that's exactly what happened today. South Carolina went on to defeat Duke 54-50. This is Don Staley's fifth straight Final Four, and I mean, we are now living in the Don and South Carolina era. That's pretty impressive. Hard fought game. I think Chloe Kicks and Fagan, they make the big difference for South Carolina, having two bigs that they relentlessly go inside to. I say Don has millennial guards, but they playing 90s basketball, traditionally throwing it into the post. Kits finished with 14 points, 4 rebounds, was 1 for 1 from the three. I see you comment. I love seeing her shoot perimeter shots because they leave her open, and most of the time she doesn't shoot the ball. But and then Sonya Fagan, she finished with 12 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and then outside of that, they were the only two to score double figures. And like I said, this is an overall team effort from South Carolina, from a fought Duke team. Now Toby Fournier. She led Duke with 18 points, 6 rebounds, 1 for 1 from the three. Can't wait to see what happens with her next year because I know she'll be a full-time starter. And then Ashlyn Jackson finished with 13 points, 6 assists. South Carolina held Duke to just 8 points in the fourth quarter, and that was the determining factor in the game. Way to close it out for South Carolina. Definitely look forward to seeing them in the Final Four. Your thoughts, Cass?
Really covered that one. That was an ugly win, ugly game. It was real scrappy. I mean, South Carolina came out strong. I think when the rotation started to come in, Duke picked up defensively, and with the Gamecocks, it's just hard to balance because there's so many stars, like really, or so many, not necessarily stars, but so many solid players, and like they're all still humans. So some days they're on, some days they're off. So it's hard to be consistent with that. Um, I think that Duke did a really good job with the post. Like, even though Sanaya Fagan and Chloe Kitts ended up leading South Carolina in scoring, I still think that Duke did a really good job at defending them. They really had to fight for every bucket that they got, and they really put. Chloe is like, well, honestly, Sanaya Fagan had 4 turnovers. So that shows you right there that they were down. She had 4 turnovers, and then Chloe Kitts was losing the ball a lot. And it's like I kept hearing Carolyn Peck that they're saying like we got to get Chloe Kitts more touches, and she was getting touches. Right. It was just like they were stopping her. So Malaysia Fawali didn't have her best night. It was tough to watch, and it's tough to watch, but she's not the only one that's making mistakes. I feel like a lot of them were making mistakes, but Malaysia Fawali is a little more loud because of the flair that she has to her game in general. So it's like everything that she do is loud. So her turnovers and everything are going to feel loud. But she had 4 turnovers, but so did Sanaya Fagan. And I think that it's tough for a player like her because she's so athletic. She can do everything, and it's almost like ADHD. It's like, I can do so many things. What do I do in this moment? And sometimes I feel like she gets caught thinking too much, and then she doesn't make the right play. And then I think a lot of her mistakes came from they were defending the post so well. So in plays where she knows that she's supposed to get it to the post and she's not able to get it to the post, now she got to think, oh, it's not what I'm about to do. And like she tries to drive and it just doesn't work. So South Carolina, they started off well. I think the rotations this time, they weren't as strong because some of the off the bench spark wasn't really there. And that's what they have relied on all season. Duke played really good defense. They made it tough. I don't know I don't know if the way they're playing is gonna hold up for the championship. Like right now, they haven't put together 4 quarters that look like a championship team to me. Although I picked them as the champions because in my heart that's what I want to happen. But I hope to see them play better basketball in this Final Four.
Right, and now they'll play, of course, the winner between Texas and TCU. And I'm with you. I mean, I picked them to win it all. I mean, mainly because I feel like they got the depth, and then there's no see. This is the benefit of having a coach that don't fear nobody. They already battle tested. Like the one thing I used to say, whether I was coaching high school basketball or anything, is like, especially in Ohio, because in Ohio every team makes the playoffs. So what are you scared for in the regular season to go play better teams? To have unless you just want to have a pretty regular season record and then go get your ass dog walked in the tournament, or you can play the best competition in the regular season and have your team built to make a championship run. I think Don did that early, but she does that every year. Like they don't run from anybody. So now there's not an opponent that they're going to face that's going to be a surprise. Like on either side, whether it's in the Final Four, whether it's in the championship, it's not going to be a surprise. Now, when you talk about the numbers, just for those of you who didn't watch the game, just overall, Duke was 19 for 60, 5 for 17 from the three, 7 for 13 from the free throw line. Now, as a coach, this grinds your gears. As a losing team, to shoot 53% from the free throw line and you lose by 2 possessions. I mean, that hurts when you look at it by the numbers at the end of the day. Now, South Carolina, it was 19 for 44, around 43%, 3 for 8 from the three. In 13 for 20 is the only, low part of that. I mean, the way they play, I don't always expect them to shoot in the high 50s unless they're getting out in transition and getting easy layups and stuff like that. Or like today, this wasn't a typical game from Fuwali. And Tessa Johnson was, she didn't show up neither. And they played double-digit minutes and not a lot of production there. But that just shows you still, though, that if they don't produce offensively, a Don Staley team is going to play defense. Like, and that's the benefit. I've been not as public, but like, when you look at Raven Johnson, she doesn't woo everybody. If you've been a spectator of the game or anything like that. But as a coach, I take her any day of the week because she's a relentless competitor. Just because she don't score, she's 9 times out of 10, she's not letting your guard score a ton neither. So like I said, when you're watching it from a coaching standpoint, you appreciate those type players. But from a spectator, you might miss out on the value of those type of players because they're not putting up a ton of numbers and not shooting lights out or anything like that. But I feel like this team is built to win under any circumstance, whether it's pretty, whether it's ugly, or anything. I think Don is a program builder. Like she's great at putting good teams together. Because anytime you can get that amount of talent to come together and sacrifice a lot of their game for the greater good of the team, that speaks volume, especially in this era where it's really more about me. And I was growing up, and I ain't even the type to get on those type of soapboxes, but it was always preached team, 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 team. And now it's more individualized. So, hats off to Don Staley in South Carolina for getting it done. You got anything else you want to say about that game before we move on to the next one?
Last thing, Duke down the stretch made some poor decisions, and I think that really let the game slip away from them. It's like even the last shot that they were able to get off, it was just a bad shot. So I think they showed some of their inexperience in that moment, while South Carolina was able to show their experience and like them being battle tested. Like when you said that immediately made me think of that fourth quarter coming down with the last maybe 2 to 3 minutes left in the game, and it just showed. It just showed.
No, I agree. Now, this last game was a heartbreaker for me. Me and Cass, we was talking, before we went live, and like, I like teams and players for multiple reasons, not just from the basketball aspect of it. I like Kim Mulkey because she do everything how she want to do it. I like her attitude. I'm all for people being who they want to be. I'm not a judgmental person or anything like that. If anything, I just troll about it. I find it funny. Like I mean I don't it doesn't anger me or anything like that. I just think it's funny, and I think what people don't realize about Moki in this era is that's why a lot of players like playing for her, because like she is a real person. Like you get what you get. Like, and I think she treats her players like that too, because we're not gonna get to this on this episode, but LSU is not declining. Like they're reloading because they got some of the best players in the country coming in next year. I mean, she's probably gonna hit that portal good too. So, and to come to think about it, she hasn't been at LSU that long. Like she hasn't been there that long. Like so,
Right.
I'm forever a Kim Mulkey fan. So that's my allegiance with LSU, and then of course you get to the players. I like Flage for more than just hoop. She's known for more than just hoop. So my heart goes with them. Now getting to the basketball part of it. Of course, UCLA went on to win this game 72-65. Lauren Betts, she set precedents early, although she got in foul trouble, but that's when the rest of her teammates kicked in. She finished the game with 17 points, 7 rebounds. Gabriela Jaquez, she finished with 18 points, 8 rebounds. Really lit fire along with Tamir Gardner, who shot lights out, 5 for 8 from the three, finished with 15 points. Her teammates stepped up for her huge when she went to the bench with that second foul, especially in the second quarter. You'd have thought LSU would have been able to make a run. They was outscored 22-12 in that quarter. By the numbers, like I said, before I pass the ball to you, Flage, she led LSU with 28 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 3 for 6 from the three, 10 for 17 from the field. Samaya Smith just 4 points, 10 rebounds, and I said just because she'd been getting double doubles in a lot of these wins earlier in the tournament up into this game. Anissa Morrow did not get a double double. Only shot 7 for 19. 15 points, 7 rebounds. That 7 for 19 is a large part due to Lauren Betts. Like nothing easy comes around the rim. I think she did a great job of negating a lot of offensive opportunities for LSU around the rim. So LSU only shot 37% from the field, 33% from the three. Was 10 for 12 from the free throw line. Now UCLA shot 28 free throws. And that doubles their opportunity doubles what LSU shot. They were 20 for 28. The 10 for 24 is what really opened the game up from three, because they only shot 38% from the two as well. But yeah, it just hats off to UCLA. But like I said, my heart is always going to be with LSU, just because I like him and the players. But some things got to get fixed for LSU. I felt like they had, 3 really good players where they shouldn't struggle in the half court to get a good shot. Michaela Williams, she finished with 10 points and 7 rebounds, but shot 4 for 13. And a lot of their offense in the half court is rushed. It's chaotic. No real rhyme or reason. And that's what really caused them to struggle at times where they were getting stops, but they couldn't score. And it seemed like on the other end, where if I talk about UCLA, everybody was familiar with their role. They know what they was out there to do, and they were comfortable in that role. But LSU, not so much. But hats off to Corey Closage. She is one of my favorite coaches left in the NCAA tournament. But just better execution on UCLA's end, and closed it out down the stretch. Your thoughts, Cass?
In the first quarter, like the first opening seconds, when Lauren Betts blocked Anissa Morrow shot 2 times in a row, like in the same possession, and then she held up 2 like that, I was like, oh, okay, It's about to be a long day. I'm not. It's like that really for me. It set the tone for UCLA. I think Lauren Betts does a really good job at driving her team. She's part of the reason why I don't like UCLA because I look at things in a lot of different ways when I'm viewing these games. I'm viewing it as a player because I'm still always a player at heart. I'm looking at it as a coach and just as a regular human being. And as a player, I can't stand tall players, man. They just like I'm an undersized player. So I feel like tall players, they just it's unfair. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of the height. You know, you just 6'7" down there. You just do what you want to do. And like she ain't even got she don't have to be athletic. She don't have to work so hard and jump. I mean, Lauren Bess is one of the best in the game, like big people in the game, because I think that she's really skilled in her size. She's able to move her feet really well because with height, it does take some talent to have that coordination. So I'm not taking anything. I'm just being petty, honestly, because I'm jealous. So that was off the rip for UCLA tough. And then they really stepped up when she got into foul trouble and they made a statement that they are more than just Lauren Betts. And it showed a lot about the heart of that team where it makes you like you can't even hate on that. Like, you know, they're ready for the moment. They really want it bad. So I love seeing basketball like that. I was rooting for LSU. I love LSU. I love Kim Mulkey for some of the same reasons that you love her. I love Flage. Anissa Morrow is a dog. What sets Kim Mulkey apart as a coach, and you touched on it in the beginning, people like playing for her. I listened to an Angel Reese podcast and where she was on there with Dejanay, who have both played for Kim Mulkey in two different settings in two different times. But she brings a dog out of her players that you're just not going to get from anyone else, and they have that fight. And you see that always shows up in the defense, and it shows up in players like Anissa Morrow, who got back in the game with a broken nose. To finish the game with a broken nose, she fouled out, and I saw UCLA play fans like giving her a standing ovation because she's that type of player you can't deny. I hate that she had that type of injury right before the draft because you know, I want to see her come in preseason. I'm sure she's gonna come in preseason with a mask. But Samaya Smith for LSU really did everything that she could. I think that defensively she was excellent. It's just hard to defend 6'7". It's hard to defend like really LSU across the board is undersized. They have Del Rosario who didn't see a lot of minutes, and it's because she's not developed. And so LSU is undersized. Samaya Smith did all that she could. At the end of the day, the better team, like UCLA has a better team because they have a better system. I've been talking about Kim Mulkey's system with LSU since last year. I think that their offense lacks off-ball movement, and there's not a lot of action going on. It's really a lot of ISO ball. It's just like she has such athletic players that she just give one of them the ball and they gonna make it do what they do. Like, but when that's not working, then what you gonna do? And that's what happens with LSU when they face good teams that have, you know, great defensive systems and one player can't do it on their own and then everybody else just standing around and watching, they're going to get stopped. And that's what happened. I think it really showed when Gilbert had those 3 shots back to back. And then you hear Ryan and Rebecca talking about, that's not the player that
Yeah,
you
right,
want for
right.
LSU in the ball. And it's like Gilbert is that good. She has had those moments, but they got to get outside of themselves. And she has to realize that for herself. That ain't even something that the coach she should know, like, we are in the Elite Eight right now. I need to get this ball to my shooter. I need to get it. Flage got 23 points right now. You know what I'm saying? And she went on to score after that. She took control of the game. But yeah, it's just they need more complexity in their offense. At the end of the day, the better team, the more disciplined team won. But LSU is young, and we'll see them again. We'll see them back next year.
Yeah, now you bring up a perfect point. I always say, like, you know, most of the game nowadays, it doesn't matter which level you watching, whether it's pro, amateur, or even at the collegiate level. It's a lot of ball screens. What can you do off a ball screen or ISO action if you're not feeding it into the post? The thing about it for me with LSU is like they never had any continuity sets to go to when things wasn't working. Like, and that's the only time for me when, you know, when you talk about running sets or running plays, like it's clutch moments where you need to run something fluidly to either get your first option going or your second option going. And if you're lucky to have a third, the third, but at least your first one or two options, you got to run something to get them something fluid and something in their spot. And to me, you look at LSU, you got somebody who's capable of knocking down shots with Michaela Williams, and then you have I never really referred to Morrow as like a post player. She's more like a tweener, more like a stretch forward per se, because she's undersized. I mean, she just played like a dog, but like she's undersized compared to most bigs that she goes up against. But she can stretch the floor, and she showed that in a couple of games prior to playing UCLA. Like she knocked down threes and things of that nature. But that's too much firepower in the half court not to be able to get a good shot. I'm not even saying you can still shoot like shit, but the shots should be good shots. Like, and that's not those 3 shots in a row that we saw from Gibber. Like you said, she's more than capable of making them, but they didn't have anything going on, to really get even for them to be considered good shots for her. It was desperation shots where it should have been something in the flow of offense.
It was really early in the shot clock. Like she was, I didn't understand what made her feel like she needed to speed up in those moments.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what the youth, the inexperience, and then too. I mean, if we being real, even as talented as Flage is, see, this is the thing where you get talented freshmen sometimes that come into situations with talented upperclassmen that carry the team, and they fill a role, but throughout that role, they're not really being developed in the taking over the team per se. Like, I think Flage is a great player, but I don't think she's she's not a lead, what you would consider the leader of the team. Like, because even throughout her career at LSU, she's never been the focal point of LSU. It's always been somebody ahead of her that's considered to be the focal point. Like in this case, it would be Morrow. Now, obviously, past this, it should be her. Like, but that if there is that, but that's the thing. Like, she's never been in a situation. She puts up leader type numbers and everything. Like, she came into she's averaging 18 points, which is more than great. But it's a situation where like she should have been going getting the rock her damn self. Like, Gilbert shouldn't even been put in that position to put up those shots. So
She did that after the fact, but yeah, it should have been a little sooner.
yeah, because I mean, if we are, I've had my time of playing with great people or watching great players, and they ain't going for that. like they not having it. But see, even with Kim, as free flowing as she is, and it's funny because I didn't bring this up when we was talking about the Notre Dame game neither, but I felt like Kim and Ivy, they have some similarities in giving their players too much liberty. Like, players have to realize when it's their night and when it's not. And when it's not, you have to focus on doing everything else if it's not scoring. I seen it was a stretch in the game, I think, where Michaela Williams and Anissa Morrow was working in pick and roll, and she came off and she shot and she missed. And I think they fouled after it or whatever. And I seen her make I kind of read her mouth saying like, man, I can't hit a shot. Stop fucking shooting. Like, do other things. Like, because before you know it, you shoot your team out of the game. Like, right. That's the thing. Like, but it's hard. I understand on the flip side, even as a coach, more so as a coach than a player, is you wanna hope that eventually it's gonna kick in and they get the going. But then sometimes you don't realize, like, by the time you're on your last prayer, hoping they get it going, the game is over. And that's exactly yeah. So that's exactly what happened. Now, moving on to the Monday night's game. Of course, we talked about the TCU in Texas, but a rematch with USC and UConn. It's gonna be. I don't even really know where to go from this, because now the only thing I will say is I think UConn is starving to get back to a Final Four and a championship game. Just the game. I ain't even saying to win it, but like it's been a minute since we seen UConn like where we used to seeing UConn. And I feel like this is probably due to some a huge unfortunate event that they're going to be the heavy favorite coming into this game. But I think USC, at least for their psyche, they got one game under their belt without Juju. They got some practices and everything under their belt without her. I think some people, gain a little bit more confidence and reassurance on what they can do. And, the game still got to be played. And that's the thing. I think it's going to be interesting, but man, oh man, if we see Paige from Saturday, if she has one of those awakenings, that's the biggest X factor that I can see. I'm gonna pass it to you, but the one thing I want to say is that Kiki didn't have a great game neither, and they won. She's due for another breakout game like she had against Mississippi State. So it's going to be just a matter of who comes out and really who asserts themselves first. I think is going to be the team to take on the win. What your thoughts?
I count USC out of this one. I think they have what it takes to win. A lot of it, when you have players like Paige, it's hard to count them out either. But I'm gonna go with USC. I think that we have to leave space for a little magic in March because they're running off, the emotion and adrenaline from feeling all of those feels about like their teammate going down and like them. Because this is the year. I think a lot of people have USC, especially when they had Juju, to be in the championship. A lot of people think that this is the year that they could really do it. They have that opportunity. So I think we got to leave space for a little magic. I'm leaving space for that. I'm pulling for them. Do it for Juju. UConn is UConn. I mean, you just never know. It's March.
No, I like how you put that though, because we haven't had any real March Madness on the women's side. I mean, I think a lot of the games that went the way they went, I mean, nobody was really surprised. And I know a lot. I see it, I read it. A lot of people think that on the women's side it's becoming too predictable in certain instances. But if we being real, it's always been like that. Like this is nothing new. Like back when I became a fan, when Pat Summitt was storming the sidelines, it was still the same then. You had the Stanfords, you had the Tennessees, Gino came on the scene and woke UConn up. I mean, it's been the same. So it's always going to be like that because 9 times out of 10, most of these players that's coming out of high school, they want to go to championship, teams and programs. So, I mean, I don't really worry about that as much. I mean, now the portal makes it more interesting because most of these teams get players from the portal. I mean, I think, Dawn, she's selective with the portal, which is when she went in there and got Pow Pow. I mean, that was a grade A snag right there because I felt like she was huge in their championship run because she gave them something that they didn't have, and that was perimeter scoring and shooting. And I think honestly for me, that's the perfect reason for the portal is you go get what you need. Like you it's not off potential. It's not off what you hope and think they might become. You go get exactly what you need right now. And I think coaches like her, that's what they're going to do. I mean, other teams, they don't have to, they gotta go take both routes heavy. But I think that, Don, Mulkeys, even Gino, most people they haven't really been high on UConn for a minute now. I mean, and unfortunately, they've had their struggles with Fudd and Becker's health and different things like that, because I honestly believe if they were healthy, things could be a lot different. I think the landscape would have been a lot different. Not saying that they was going to stop South Carolina from winning, but it could have been more interesting, to say the least. But Yeah, I think I'm. I wouldn't mind seeing something spectacular happen with USC winning this game, but I also, man, I really would like to see Paige at least get to the chip. Like she is hard not to like, man. Like, I mean, like, really, like she is hard not to like as a player and as is what presented as a person. Because I'm one of those. I'm not one of those people who think I know a player just because what they present in online or what we see from video clips and things like that. Amongst a lot of the other people they live on your post and my post thinking they know a player personally and all this. I don't do that. But at least what's presented to me, she's hard not to root for. I mean, and coming back from injuries and stuff like that and watching her have one of those, page moments. Like I said, I wouldn't be mad to see her playing for a championship, but my heart is with USC, but I'm a pick. I think UConn is going to pull it out. Now I'm gonna be honest. If Juju was playing, and I think even when I picked my bracket, I picked different because of Juju. But without Juju, I probably got to flip it just a little bit. But my heart is still with USC. But so that, I mean, pretty much UCLA will be waiting on the winner of USC and UConn, and then of course South Carolina is waiting on the winner of Texas and TCU. And I'll be looking forward to when those matchups are decided, and basically I'll hop back on Troll Time and talk about it. Hopefully you can bless Troll Time again. The door is always open. Like as long as you want to be here, I'm more than welcome to have you. You got any last thoughts or anything you want to say before you get out of here?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. As always, man, let's talk hoops. Let's keep the conversation going after this live.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, and for me personally, I want to thank you, Cassie, for coming on. Like I said, it's been a long time coming. I really admire what you do. I'll make sure share all your channels in this post prior once this live is over. But just keep doing what you're doing. I like I say, you covered to a T. If you catch her on TikTok, catch her on Instagram, catch her on Facebook at Cassie Chantel, and she does the reels on Facebook. I mean, she gives a real deep, detailed depiction of any game or any player or any situation in a 60-second clip that you'll probably find no one better doing it right now. I see you, something that I've been paying attention to that you probably may or not pay attention to, but I seen you jump 1,000 followers in like 2 days. One day I looked, it was at 22. The next day I looked, it was at 23. So like people catching on, and I'm happy for you for that. I always interact with your posts as much as possible, but just keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, I'm more than grateful having you today and beyond. And like I always say, I'm here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Catch us on the next episode.